It is Pigskin Dynasty, your podcast for all things Dynasty Fantasy Football, with the sprinkle, just a sprinkle of sports talk. I'm your host that makes a decent, a little bit average profit. Matt Phillips, alongside, as always, is the unofficial fantasy guru. I got nothing clever on you. Sorry about that. I'm just going to introduce him as Jonathan.
I'm terrible at intro, so I'm just going to roll with that.
Yeah, this is what I do. I'm the personality, so to speak. So last episode, yesterday, we talked about our mock draft is today, in a couple hours actually. So we're going to continue our mock draft. We're going to start with 17 through 32. We did 1 through 16. If you want to watch 1 through 16, make sure you just click right around this area right here. And just let us know. But let's just jump right in this. Scott, you want to say anything before we start?
Yeah, just the biggest surprise to me within our first 16 picks. I think it's pretty crazy. We had Lamar Jackson go, but Josh Rosen's still on the board at 17 here.
It's a UCLA curse. Aaron Rodgers, right? So watch. Josh Rosen is going to be the next Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers with the cow.
My bad. I want to cut this out.
No. Roll them cameras.
Okay.
On to 17.
Right,
You're on the clock. 17. Who we picking?
I look ridiculous. Okay. Los Angeles Chargers are on the clock with the 17th overall pick. So,
I'm impressed you didn't say San Diego Chargers, actually.
Yeah, well, I got the
Or
LA
the
part.
UCLA Chargers.
I'm a USC fan, so I definitely know LA. So when I look at the Los Angeles Chargers, okay, they have great quarterback, Phil Rivers. I mean, latter years, they definitely want to try to maximize his potential, try to get him some weapons, or try to maybe get him into the Super Bowl. They want to protect their franchise and Melvin Gordon and Phil Rivers. So I can definitely see them going offensive line, possibly a tackle. But for the first round, on the basis of the first round, I believe they go on the defense, and the defense wasn't as good as I originally thought they were going to be. So I see that they're going to help out Boza. They're going to pick Jerron Payne as the overall pick.
Well, to add something onto that, Rivers is getting old. Would Rosen be in consideration for the Chargers here at 17 if Rosen is still on the board?
Absolutely, but the thing is that this quarterback draft is so pretty deep that you can get a decent quarterback maybe in the second round. So there's always been a stigma that I just don't like, that you have to, if you have like a top 20 pick, that you got to pick quarterback, you got to try to pick quarterback up in the first round, which is I think is unheard of. Like Jimmy G was what, 4th round in the Patriots?
I believe he was second round.
Well, the thing, I don't necessarily need to get a first round to get a quarterback, so I think they need to focus on, okay, Phil Rivers is there for at least maybe 1 or 2 more years. Let's try to get a Super Bowl around him, and then let's draft his replacement in the 2nd, 3rd round.
Just real quick, is Phil Rivers a Hall of Famer for you?
Yes.
I completely agree. I think he's one of the most underrated quarterbacks in NFL history.
People always like to talk about postseason stats and everything, but that doesn't matter. It depends what his performance and stats wise and the basis of his career. He did it for such a long time. So
to me, the more you watch football, the more that ownership in the front office really matters. And unfortunately for Philip Rivers, the Chargers don't have a very strong front office and ownership.
Cowboys fan, I've been an advocate of Tony Romo this whole time. Tony Romo had one of the worst GM, I think probably the worst GM in Jerry Jones, but that's besides the point.
Okay, back on track. Seattle Seahawks. When you look at that team, what's their biggest need? It's that offensive line. If they didn't have Russell Wilson, they'd have killed probably 3 quarterbacks last year. So to me, they could either go Mike McGlinchey or Malcolm Brown. I have them taking McGlinchey out of Notre Dame, just filling that need because that offensive line is just completely a mess. And give Philip Rivers some help with the run game, and not Philip Rivers. I'm sorry, Russell Wilson. What am I thinking? Russell Wilson some help and help out that run game and move that offense in the right direction. So on the clock for you at 19, you got the Cowboys.
My team.
Yep.
All right. So
speaking of UCLA quarterbacks, Troy Aikman was a UCLA quarterback. I feel like we're letting Josh Rosen fall because you're a USC fan, and I'm not picking for any quarterback needy teams here.
No. Like Josh Rosen. Hey. Josh Rosen, I think has potential to drop. I think he's the one guy that might go to.
But will the Cowboys take him at 19?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If they do, I will revoke my fanship of the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, I see the Dallas Cowboys here. Okay? I see a lot of things happening here. I just don't. As a Cowboys fan, I definitely don't know what's going to happen because you got to take the X factor of Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is the most unpredictable GM in terms of the first round. Like he wanted Johnny Manziel that we came out and we had to have no need for that a quarterback at that time, especially a quarterback of Johnny Manziel's stature that would be off-field issues. But Dallas Cowboys also has a Dallas felon, so I mean, won't be surprised when Johnny Manziel if he was going to go there. But he's definitely an offensive minded, so I wouldn't be surprised if they go receiver. Because Des Bryant's gone, I wouldn't be surprised if Courtland Sutton gets off the board and be Calvin Ridley. But I think Jerry Jones is going to get pushed away by the son Stephen Jones. I think Stephen Jones is going to be a little bit smart. Okay, they're going to look at their needs. I definitely see they can either go offensive lineman, get offensive tackle, try to kind of beef up the offensive line because that Falcons game was a definitely eye-opening when Tyron Smith went out and Dak Prescott annihilated, and that one player from the Falcons, I can't forget his name, got like 6 sacks or 4 sacks. But I definitely think they're going to beat up their linebackers. The linebackers are definitely need for the Cowboys. So I had Edmonds as my number 1 guy, but Edmonds got drafted earlier, so I'm definitely going to go Harold Landry at Boston College. I think that's especially with that the defensive style that we have in Dallas. I think that's going to be perfect. You can play maybe the defensive end slide, maybe slide up into the outside linebacker. So I think Harold Landry at Boston College is going to be for the Dallas Cowboys, and I can do a little bit.
Yep, and when I had the Ravens pick at 16, he was in consideration for me there too as well. So at 20, the Lions are on the clock. Really, I think they have a massive need at running back. To me, Michelle is very similar to what they already have on the roster with Amir Abdullah and Theo Riddick, so I don't think they go in that direction. So for the Lions, I'll have them taking best available defensive lineman, and I believe that is Maurice Hurst out of Michigan. Just bolster a defensive line that's been position need ever since Sue left, and just really, help that defensive line out with the running game as well as trying to get pressure from up the middle.
You can't do a first round without at least one Michigan player in the first round. I mean, that's like.
Well, shoot, when Rich Rod was our coach, we had a bunch of years without Michigan players being worth the first rounder.
All right, so 21st overall pick, got Cincinnati Bengals on the clock. So they got Cordy Glenn. In the offseason to that offensive line out.
Which was a great trade for them, in my opinion. Move down 10 picks and pick up Cordy Glenn.
Can Cordy Glenn stay on the field? He has a history of just not being able to stay on the field. He's been injury prone. So I definitely think I don't think if they get an offensive tackle eventually in this draft, I just don't think they get it at this pick. I think they go more like linebacker going here. So obviously Raquan Smith's been taken out, Harold Landry been taken out, Edmonds been taken out. So I have Rashaan Evans out of Alabama, possibly going here at Cincinnati with the 21st overall. What do you think, Seth?
No, I really like that pick. I think for the Bengals, you never know what you're gonna get out of Vontaze Burfict if he's gonna be able to play.
Yeah, he's a knucklehead. Gets suspended every year.
Yeah, and really, I feel like that's just something the Bengals really like to go get because they drafted Mixon too. And they go after them knuckleheads all the time.
Yep.
So at 22 with the Colts on the clock, I think offensive line is still a massive need for them. And I believe his name is Isaiah Wynn. He's a guard out of Georgia, I believe. And that's the direction I think that they go. Bolster that offensive line that they still keep trying to piece together, but they still can't protect their quarterback. So that's the direction in which they're going to go and fill that need on offense. And you're on the clock at 23.
All right, so New England Patriots.
Oh my gosh, this has got to be where Josh Rosen goes.
No, I don't have him. No, I don't.
How are they going to replace Tom Brady?
Tom Brady, they're going to get a quarterback in this draft, but Bill Belichick's smart. He's going to get a quarterback in the later range. He's not going to invest the first round pick.
He's got 2.
A quarterback. He does have 2, and I have both of those picks, and Josh Rosen is not one of them. Okay. So here's what I think New England can do. This is interesting. Okay. There's reports that Lamar Jackson was the guy that they liked, but Lamar Jackson got drafted by the Arizona Cardinals online. So I think they do good quarterback, okay? But they're not going to be a quarterback in the first round. They're going to be smart with the picks. They're going to try to capitalize the fact that Brady maybe has 1 good year left, maybe 2, and they're going to try to win another Super Bowl as they do all these years. And Bill Belichick is smart. So I definitely think they're going to go linebacker here. So obviously my Edmonds and Landry are already off the board. So my next ranked linebacker will be Leighton Vander Esch out of Boise State. I think he's the little has potential to be a pretty good linebacker. So
He just feels like a Patriot.
and he has that name.
The name, the way he plays.
Say it with me, Scott.
Leighton Vander Esch.
Vander Esch. It sounds like fancy. It sounds like fancy steak you get at a restaurant. Can I get the Vander Esch, please? Medium rare. All right, Scott, you go for it.
All right. Well, at this point, Josh Rosen to me is screaming value. I think he should be a top 10 pick. If this were to happen, I think somebody would have traded up already, and he'd have been selected already. So for what I'm going to do here is the Steelers are going to trade up from 28 to 24. This is on the fly. The details can be worked out between the two teams. I'm not getting into that. Steelers own the 24th pick. They take Josh Rosen. He's going to be the successor to Ben Roethlisberger, who's already contemplating retirement. And this is just a screaming value, a huge steal for the Steelers. They got my second-rated quarterback in this draft. And I think if this happens for your fantasy team, your dynasty teams, this is going to be huge for Rosen's value because they already got pieces. They already got a good offensive scheme around him. But everybody knows Ben Roethlisberger is there, so his value is going to be suppressed. He's going to fall on your rookie drafts, and you'll be able to get him, really late and get a good value on that player. Yes, and I'm utterly stunned that he hasn't been taken.
We'll see. So 25th overall pick of the Tennessee Titans. Okay. They have over the years had a hard time getting consistent edge rusher to help get to the quarterback. So I think they fix this issue with this pick. So I think they go defensive tackle, and to me the best available defensive tackle at this point would be Byron, defensive tackle out of Florida. I think he has potential. He has the speed and athleticism to possibly make a name for himself in Tennessee, and to possibly dethrone the Jacksonville Jaguars as the AFC South champions. What do you think, Scott?
No, that's a good pick for the Titans. They, to me, their offense is really kind of set up. They got their offensive lines, running backs are good. They got the receivers that work well with Marcus Mariota. So it's just a matter of getting the defense up to that level to compete for a division championship. At 26, I got the Falcons. I think they could go in a number of directions. I think Sam Hubbard, defensive end out of Ohio State, is a possibility. But for where I'm going to go with this mock is the Falcons take Calvin Ridley, pair him on the outside. He'll play opposite or in the slot of Julio, in the slot from Mohamed Sanu. Yep, and that's a huge need for me for the Falcons because they really don't have that guy to take any attention off of Julio as far as receivers go because Hooper's not doing it, Sanu's not doing it. They just lost Taylor Gabriel, so they're really relying on their two running backs to be like the number 2 receiver, and that's pretty crazy to me as far as the scheme goes.
I just want to chime in here. I wouldn't be surprised if the Falcons do one of the Titans at this point.
Yeah, I was considering it as well.
Dallas Gordon already went off. I wasn't super surprised to get Hayden Hurst or Mike Gesicki out of Penn State, but I do like that pick. They definitely need a good wide receiver number 2. So 27th overall pick. They have the Saints, New Orleans Saints. So I look at the Saints. When I first looked at it, I originally thought wide receiver for sure. Okay, but then Cam Meredith happened. Cameron Meredith. So I think they hold off a receiver now, okay? So I definitely think they go on the offense. And I look at that team, I definitely think they improve their tight ends. I think Kobe Fleener is not the answer. I think they need to get a better athlete. And look at the Saints' better years. Jimmy Graham, the formidable tight end. Drew Brees would just target him. I think they definitely get a for sure thing tight end. And to me, Dallas Goedert was good. He got drafted earlier. I like Mike Gesicki for the point of the New Orleans Saints and stuff. I think they get Hayden Hurst out of South Carolina. I think that's the tight end that they need. Maybe do a 2 tight end set with kind of Kobe Fleener and Hurst. Maybe Fleener gets a boost in fantasy as well because being the pressure off with Hayden Hurst.
And they did also add Ben Watson, which that doesn't answer their tight end position. It gives them another player that they could use there. So I do think tight end is a big position in need. I think NFL scouts and general managers are higher on Hayden Hurst than we are in the dynasty community. Hayden Hurst did play baseball before going to college football, so he is an older guy at about 25 years old when the season starts. So I like it. I think he's a very good, pass receiving tight end, not much of a blocker, but that's what the Saints want from their tight end. Right. I mean, 25. He's still going to play for 10 years if he's a talented player. So for the Carolina Panthers, I have on the clock. They made that trade with the Steelers, so now they're on the clock at 28. I think they could go receiver. They could fill their defensive need. I think that they'll go with what's it called? Cornerback. I think they'll fill their secondary need with I think his name is Mike Hughes out of South Florida, and they'll fill that cornerback position. DJ Moore and Christian Kirk were in consideration for me here with the Panthers, but I think that this receiver class isn't very good at the top of the draft, but it's really good in the middle, second through fourth round. So I think they'll fill that need at that point in the draft.
You have Hughes? Mike Hughes?
Yeah, Mike Hughes.
I like Mike Hughes. I had him possibly going to the Pats, but all right, well, I got to fill that need now. Okay, Jacksonville Jaguars, our hometown team, probably the shocker out of everyone last year, how they turned around. They went from a mediocre team to a stud, potentially Super Bowl contender team. So when I look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think there's two obvious needs that they need to go to, okay? They definitely need an offensive lineman, and they definitely need a tight end, possibly. But then they signed ASJ, Osmond Ferris Jenkins, so that tells me that they're going to go more towards the offensive line, try to help Blake Bortles out, try to improve that running game, because when the running game was really good, that's when the Jacksonville Jaguars were the best. So I think they improved that. I think they get Billy Price, the Ohio State offensive tackle, 20th overall pick.
Oh, yeah, that's a good position of need for them. What are they going to do on defense? Because they really can't improve there. So it's just a matter of what they can do on the offensive side of the ball. And offensive line, that's where they really want to win and beat you at, is running the ball. So that's, to me, is a solid pick for the Jags. At 30, with the Vikings, another team built like the Jaguars. Defense is tremendous. Even the offensive skill positions are all set. So to me, the biggest need for them is on the offensive line, and I'll have them taking Will Hernandez, a guard, and
check Kirk Cousins, baby.
Yeah,
Let's
they'll
go,
protect
Kirk.
the quarterback, and it'll help out in the running game, which was already pretty solid. So there's just not a whole lot of need there. I do think trading down is a possibility for them, but Will Hernandez is a solid pick at this point in the draft, and that would fill a pretty big need for them.
All right, New England Patriots, second pick in the first round. This is the original pick. They got the earlier pick from the trade from Los Angeles. So, QB possibly?
Are they considering Mason Rudolph here, or Kyle Lauletta? I think he's a Patriot.
So. I don't think Patriots going to draft a quarterback in the first round. They're going to get a quarterback, but they're not going to be in the first round. I don't think they're going to waste the pick on that. Bill Belichick's a very smart man. He's very picky with his picks. He's going to pick a need to try to win right now, and then get that quarterback later in the draft. So I originally had Mike Hughes. I kind of changed my mind before the start of the show. They're going to get Mike Hughes. I thought Mike Hughes was for sure thing at the cornerback position, because they have no Malcolm Butler. Malcolm Butler went to Tennessee Titans, so I think they definitely get cornerback. So I'm picking Dante Jackson. Now, when I look at Dante Jackson, he definitely might not be the best per coverage, but in terms of speed, he has the potential to close a gap if he gets burned at that line. He's one of the fastest cornerbacks in this draft, and I think that is perfect for the New England Patriots, because he doesn't need to be the for sure guy. Right. You have Gilmore right there still. That's still the number one cornerback right there. So I think Dante Jackson, for his speed alone, is going to be the 31st overall pick.
Yep. Okay, so with the 32nd overall pick, this will be the last pick of our mock draft. I think the Eagles could go a number of ways in the offensive line. They can go tight end with and replace Trey Burton with maybe Gesicki or Mark Andrews. Really, that team just doesn't have a whole heck of a lot of need. So I think trading down is a very strong possibility of somebody trying to trade up into the first round, so they have that fifth-year option on a quarterback. But for this mock draft, we'll have the Eagles stay at 32. They'll pick, and I'll have them take Sony Michel and just put him in that backfield and really just make that offense so explosive. I mean, there's so many mouths to feed. I mean, receivers are all over the place, tight ends. They got already 3 different running backs. So if they add Michel to that, it would just be who are you keying in on? Because there's so many good players in that team.
I wouldn't be surprised if Ronald Jones goes there too. I mean, I heard reports that Ronald Jones was one of the Eagles' targets at the USC, but running back there, that backfield is going to be crazy in terms of fantasy. So In other words, if Sonny Michel goes to the Eagles, guys, stay away from any of the Eagles running backs. I don't think they're anything.
Yeah, I think no matter what they do, even if they stay with what they got, that backfield is just a running back by committee. That seems to be the way they like to run it. So for me, I try to avoid them unless they're cheap. I mean, really cheap for prices. So if Michelle lands with the Eagles, a lot of people have him going in top 4 of rookie drafts right now, and he would just fall. That to me, that would just bring him down to 8 to 10, and that's when I would pick him.
So in our mock, we have 3 running backs going off the board, and the third running back is a running back you don't think will be out there. So Michelle, I mean, he's been consistent 4th overall. You know, Chubb, a lot of people had ranked Chubb higher than him. So 3 running backs in the first round, that's pretty rare.
And the reason I went Chubb over Michelle, or Michelle over Chubb, I'm sorry, is Jay Ajayi has a running style that's similar to Chubb. So I'm trying to play off of him, and I think Michelle would complement Ajayi really well.
All right, well, that was our first round mock. I think it'll be pretty exciting to see how many picks we actually get right on Thursday.
Yep, we'll have to keep track of that.
Yeah, so, but
enjoy the draft, guys. I mean, it's an exciting time.
Yeah,
everybody, it's like Christmas in April.
For fantasy purposes, this is the time that we savor. The math starts to film. It's like, well, who's going to be the stud? But in the meantime, guys, this was a shout out to Sean Lee. He's the one that suggested this out of Jacksonville, Florida. Now, don't forget to tweet us at Dynasty Pigskin if you have any topics that we want to discuss. Let us know what you think too. Just tweet at us. My Twitter handle is mphillipsmcp.
And I'm at Scott Euler, OYLER, at Scott Euler 17.
Don't forget to add us on Instagram, Facebook. We're getting everything, audios on iTunes and everything, so we'll just keep posted on that. Until then, guys, also just don't forget to check out Bro Listen, a political and social political podcast about the Black community to talk about certain subjects. Definitely a good read. I know Anthony Rogers is the creator of it. He's a very cool guy. Until then, guys, fancy Hooksounds, you stay beautiful. You stay pretty. Peace out.